for the new town administrator hire. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? One absent. All right, next is the
Gwen is not gonna
minutes.
make it.
Yeah.
Next is the minutes of the previous meeting. We just need to motion to approve unless there's any,
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the previous meeting, June 2nd, as presented.
Second?
motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now we're at a point in the agenda for public comment, so if there's anyone on the call or in the room that would like to speak on any subject already not on the agenda, now is the time. And it doesn't appear that we have anyone. So. Are you here for an agenda item, I'm assuming?
He's here for the
Executive
executive session.
session.
Okay, okay. All right.
He's a glutton for punishment, so he's gonna sit through the whole thing. But we'll have a chance to report on the park, so
Yeah.
it's good that
All
you're.
right, so the next item is highway, and there's an update on the Route 7 sidewalk project.
Yes, indeed. I'm confused about whether I actually sent you these materials or not. Matt said he saw them, but I don't know if I did or not. But Nick prepared the new cost estimate, the new applications, and the letter of application for us to send to get additional funds. I haven't signed them yet. To get additional funds for the Route 7A sidewalk project. And because he's the liaison for this project with BCRC as part of our sidewalk planning, he prepared all that stuff, which is really, really good. I didn't have to do it. So, I don't know that a lot of review would be necessary anyway. I mean, the materials cost go up, the overall cost goes up. It's just not gonna change much. I don't know what the deadline is. Nick, are you on the call? No, that's just
That's the other
host. Okay.
computer.
So I
choose
don't
that
know.
name.
I feel as if it's like 30 days, so it might be before we have our next meeting, but we probably could defer it if we had to. I just don't know how comfortable you guys are going ahead.
It's an additional 50K by the way I read it, right?
I think that sounds about right, because of, but from the original thing, which was like 240,000, it's now 500,000.
Oh.
Because we've been working on this, I don't know,
A while.
a long time.
A long time. I mean,
So,
my
yeah.
first
7 years.
7 years,
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say. Yeah. And this is very much needed.
Oh, yeah, and there's a substantial contingency, so it's always
Yep.
possible that it won't cost that much. But I trust Nick's work on this, and again, I apologize if I did not get it to you guys in time, but I personally would think, and this is something that Dan has to sign, so.
So if you need to make a motion to approve that?
So I'm looking at the
Authorizing me to sign it.
I'm looking at the spreadsheet and it said amount remaining from original award was 565. Total cost to complete is 615. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, amount remaining in grant award or deficit is 50K. So it looks like it's 50K. That's our deficit.
And we do have, we have a match in there somewhere.
And we do,
so-
it's like a 20%
Yeah,
match or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
So
But I just don't think there's much choice in this. I mean, I think if we want to go on with the project, we have to do this. I do
We
think that,
lose our place in line if we don't.
yeah, and I do think
Yep.
that the next time I meet with Nick, I might want to go over these just to be sure I understand exactly, what's
Yep.
going on. But I would trust that this is correct. And if there is a mistake, the state will catch it. And
I'll make a motion to authorize Chairperson Dan Harvey to sign the submission approval letter of additional funding requests to V-Trans Bicycle and Pedestrian Grant Program for the Arlington Recreation Park Pedestrian Access Project.
second,
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Cynthia to approve the
Application
for the
additional
ongoing
funding,
approval
yeah.
funding of the project for the Route 7A sidewalk. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that-
Is that something you need to leave
Okay.
I
for?
don't know. I didn't get the message for it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You can stop.
And then in terms of other project updates with Highway, they are continuing to do grading and fill potholes. Today, this morning, and really into the afternoon, Mark was digging those test pits for the wastewater study and then filling them back in and, smoothing them over and seeding them, or if he's gonna be seeding them, he hasn't
Yeah.
already. So that's what he did today. I imagine that the other guys were out grading or whatever.
Yeah, I saw the grader out.
Yeah. There's something.
Yeah, I don't know. Jamie just stepped out to listen to the
Yeah.
call,
yeah,
so.
something going on.
So that's just going on. And in terms of the wastewater, I will have a memo, because we met here, we met with the EPA people and also the Otter Creek people and someone from the state in the afternoon, and I will have a memo about that, but I don't want to report on it now because I want to write the memo and get their approval that I got it right before we go there. But that did happen.
Good.
And then I think that until probably most of the rest of June, it's going to be the grading and that kind of stuff. And then in July, they start with culverts.
Hopefully it dries up a little bit.
Well, today was a start.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Under new business, Red Mountain Forest land acquisition, is she here?
No, remember, that's the one that said they're not ready.
Okay.
That's the
so
one that-
we'll just pass over.
Just pass right over there and she'll let me know when
All
she
set?
wants to do it.
Dryer fire in Manchester, I'm not going.
Oh.
And you're gonna keep toning it.
Manchester can go. All right, so we're gonna postpone to a future meeting, the 6.1 item, Red Mountain Forest land acquisition proposal.
And the train's coming through.
So the next item is delinquent dog licenses, 6.2.
So I have a report from Town Clerk Susan Pastor and Assistant Town Clerk Robin Wilcox, and the due date for licensing dogs was April 1st, 2025. It's always April 1st, and remember, the key thing
Yep.
about this is the rabies tag. That's the key
Correct.
thing.
Yep.
On May 1st, a late fee is added. Delinquent notices were mailed on May 7th. On June 16th, the list has been turned over to the select board, and you should all have gotten, there was an
Yes,
extra copy
there's an
there,
extra copy.
and you got it in the mail. And we can charge an additional $10 fee at this time, and I have additional material, including like, contact information, to the extent that we have contact information for these people. So the idea is that we would turn these over to Animal Control Officer Bob Perry for him to follow up, and it will be up to him how he does that. If he tries the phone numbers, if he tries going to the place. I personally know some of the people on this list, and I asked Robin, and she said it was not improper to just say to a neighbor, hey, you
Yeah.
still got that dog.
Well, that would be the friendly way to
The
do
friendly
it.
way to do it, because I think the statute is quite stringent. We could be quite severe in how we handle that. We
Yeah.
don't want to do that. And
Yeah.
Matt and I were talking, and there's a good chance that some of these
Maybe
dogs have
deceased
passed
dogs.
away,
Yeah.
but we need to know that the rabies is very, very serious. So for anybody who's watching this or reading the minutes, please just call the town clerk's office and arrange to have this taken care of. And if your animal hasn't had the shot yet, go get the shots. We have to do this. I read the minutes of one of the first town council meetings in Arlington, and they were talking about stray dogs, and they were impounding them in a stone paddock down where Chem Clean is. Because, so it's like, it's been there forever.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and
the
I
ancient
think that's an
disease.
important note that, I know of, in looking through this list, of one dog that has crossed over and is deceased.
Passed over.
So,
You could let Robin know that.
just
you know.
let, yeah, and I think for the community to just phone, or you could even email the town clerk and let them know if your dog is
Yeah.
deceased. And
Yeah,
then
so
we
if your
can
if your dog
settle
if
that
you
up.
gave your dog to your daughter and they're out of town, let us know. If they've passed over, let us know. But if you still have it, get it vaccinated and get your license, because the fees will accumulate, and at some point we could get stricter than we are. So,
Yeah. And I think
this is
there's-
not the list of misbehaving dogs that we've
No,
sometimes
no,
had.
no,
This
this
is just like
This isn't trouble dogs.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is just.
And I think too, Janet has information, or not Janet, the town clerk's office has information on the spay-neuter program as well. And Second Chance is also a very good resource if you need to get your pets vaccinated. I think they can help with that or point you in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So what Robin suggested was that the select board ask Janet to contact Mr. Perry and see what form he'd like this in, if he'd want to stop by and pick it up, if he wants it emailed.
You're going to Manchester.
Okay. All right. I just don't like hearing those sounds. So I don't know if we need a motion to do that. I mean, it's pretty obvious that we need to do that, but if you want a motion, I can make a motion to
Sure.
refer the list of delinquent dogs. I shouldn't say that, delinquent dog owners. Delinquent dog
It's not the dog's
owners.
fault.
Yeah.
Delinquent dog licenses, delinquent dog owners, to refer it to Animal Control Officer Bob Perry, and Janet can follow up with him.
I'll second.
Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Matt to forward the list of delinquent dog licenses to the Animal Control Officer, Bob Berry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next item is Survey Map Digitization Project.
And that's also coming from the town clerk's office, and you may remember when we were talking about what is now Kelly Lane, formerly known
Yes.
as
Yes,
Gleeblatt
Gleeblatt
Road, that they were able to scan the Mr. Wright survey into the computer and then turn it into a file that I could email to the company in Burlington that was working for the other landowner. And that's just a huge improvement. I mean, and I think you guys got that scanning machine a while back, but it took a while to get the right kind of paper. They had to figure out how to do it. But I think it will be a great convenience to community members and the firms that do this title searches and things like that. So the plan is for Colette, because Colette was working on the cemetery project, and for her to switch over and work on this. She only wants to work 1 day a week. The 1,200 in that line would mean, how do I do this? 16 5-hour days, or 80 hours. So then that would use that up. And Robin says there's other restoration money, or we could just do this and then come back to it next year. So what I would suggest is I could go ahead and prepare a new contract for Colette, and then at some point Colette comes in and signs it, and Dan signs it, if the board decides that they want to do this.
I think it's a
I think
good
it's
thing
worthwhile.
too.
Even if we do it piecemeal, it's not.
Yeah.
Right, there's no urgency, and we're keeping all the paper, and it's fantastic to have somebody like Colette who's so reliable and so easygoing and easy to get along with, but she doesn't want to really work more than 1 day a week, so.
And this is a great rainy day project.
For sure.
So I'd make a motion once the noise passes. I'll make a
Into the
motion.
structure.
What?
It's into the
Into the
structure.
structure. Do you need to go, or you good?
I'll hang for the next call.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the preservation and restoration project to digitize our survey maps and hire Colette 1 day per week at $15 an hour for the total remaining in our town clerk restoration line item of $1,200. Not to
Second.
exceed.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Cynthia to approve the survey map digitization project and to enter into the agreement with Colette for $15 an hour for how many, 5 hours a week?
Not
5
to,
hours a day,
5 hours a day.
One day a week.
1 day a week,
5 hours a day.
yeah,
not to exceed
Not to exceed
$1,200, which is our
$1,200.
remaining line item.
yeah.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good, okay. Now we're in no business. Fire truck, do we need to have any
I
discussion?
think
put
it's
that on the
engaged.
agenda because I
No.
didn't know, Brian's been coming.
We're at a
You're-
point where
Okay,
we're
that's
good
fine,
right now.
that's fine. I
We
just
don't
didn't
need
wanna
more.
not have it
He
there.
spoke with me earlier.
Okay, that's fine.
Sounds like it's engaged, so.
Yep. And then the next item under the old business is the Arlington Rec Park project updates.
Well, since we have our operator here, perhaps, Willie, would you like to report on anything that's going on?
Sure. We started the greens project today. We had James, we got hold of James Hawley, and he donated his equipment. All he's asking for is a little money for him and his helper at the sum of like $125 an hour. We're 6 feet away from having the 4th green totally done, totally stripped out, and Joe Charbonneau is coming tomorrow morning at 9:30. And he's gonna put us on to the next step, which is probably it'll be, it's the viola sand that we're gonna put in there. And then we're gonna rototill that in with the soil that's there. It'll fluff it up, and then we'll seed it, and then put the
Turf.
turf, there you go, sod, on top
Sod,
of that. And then 4 weeks later, we should be ready to go. I received the greens mower last week, the newer one, and used it on Friday, and I did 4 greens in about 40 minutes, which
Nice.
is, pretty good. I had the numbers for that too at my office. But Jim Germander from Grassland, huge thanks to him. Like, he showed up and pulled it off the truck and said, "Let's go. We're gonna set this up right now and make sure it cuts the way you want it to cut." And he took off and did us half of green, and then he said, "It's your turn. I want to see what you're doing." Gave pointers and tips, and we were
Oh,
off
that's
and running.
fantastic.
Nice.
Good.
So very good about that, and he's got some other numbers on some other mowers. I know kind of about that, but maybe later on, future-wise, like, I know the new mower that I was looking at was a lot of money, but he's got some good used ones right now that they received from Disney, because somehow they have a contract to buy. And there's a big wing mower out there with 185 hours on it, and brand new. So, let's see, other than that, what do we got? We got the water bubblers fixed, the water bottle fill station is fixed. Can't remember his first name, but Williams Plumbing, got that all
Page?
set.
Page?
Page, yep, he got that all fixed. It was just a little plastic piece inside that we think was either got frozen or turned around in process.
Huh,
So the valve was actually going
the wrong way.
the wrong way.
Mm.
So like the
Interesting.
pressure was making it run. So, but by that point it was too late, and I think the part might have got frozen too at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's just a small plastic piece, I think that was $70, you know what
Yeah.
those are.
Sure.
Sure.
Other than that, let's see, what
The
else?
playground.
Playground, we're waiting on the rest of the, borders, which I think that went through last week to order. more.
Janet ordered it, but we need to make sure that the order is shipping. We need to keep on them.
Okay, because we were missing 97
Yeah,
feet of that.
we found
so-
out where to get it, we ordered the same thing.
Yep.
But what about the conduit digging? That still hasn't happened. right?
Waiting on Randy on that one. And we don't know
On
what
Randy, what about Mark? I mean, that,
So, as far as Randy is concerned, he's gonna put a box, flat box
okay,
on the trail side, and then we're just gonna go 6 inches underneath. We're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
scrape back the
okay,
chips and then put it down in conduit to the other side. And I think we're waiting on Mark to figure out a time to do.
With Glenn,
Post
so that they
hole,
do
post
everything.
hole. And the cement,
Yep,
okay,
cement,
and the borders or whatever,
Right.
okay.
Concrete and the
Okay.
pole and
Yeah.
everything
Okay,
all at one
okay,
time.
that's great, that's great.
that's
Well,
that.
we'll wait until the stars, like,
Align.
align.
Yeah. And what else? We made it through the baseball, softball field. Very good. I think
Yep.
we did well. We
Yep.
got the fields up in best we could without the rain.
Yeah, the rain's
The pillars, I did hear from Glenn on the pillars.
Okay.
RK Miles will take them back. We've had them
Wow.
for 3 years.
Wow.
So they were like 120 a piece. They're gonna give us 95 back.
And that was
Yes.
part of how we
Yes.
were gonna backfill to pay for the
For-
new
to pay
mower.
for-
Yeah,
part of the mold.
But that's
yes.
really RK Miles, you know, rocks.
They're usually
So,
pretty generous with stuff like that.
95 bucks back
Yeah.
per a piece, and
Yeah.
they're coming to pick
Yeah,
them
as
up.
that covers the
Yeah.
restocking fees,
Yep.
so.
Joe is very community minded.
And can I ask you something about the greens? Are you doing them one at a time or trying to do them all at once? I mean, I just am wondering
The four,
how it affects the experience of trying to golf there.
you're talking like the 4 that are dug up right now.
Yeah. So there are 4 dug up right
4
now.
are dug up. Tomorrow we'll go get sand. If it works out that way, we'll get the sand, put that in, and then we get a rototiller. And we're gonna chew the sand and the soil back in.
Right. No, I totally got
And
that.
then- And then after that, we get the
Reseed.
sod on it.
Oh, get the sod on it.
And then what we have is 4 temporary greens that I've been cutting since
Oh.
the beginning.
Okay.
the beginning. when
So
it
you
started
move the holes.
Just brought them forward so they'd be out of the way of the project.
Oh,
And
you're
it's
so
just
smart.
enough for people to hit on
Okay.
it. It's not
All right.
putting, I'm not using.
Never
a
mind.
grease
I
mold.
should've-
Afterwards, it goes back to fairway.
I should have
Exactly.
thought. I
And
should have
it's right
thought
there.
you had it
It's-
all.
Yeah, it's
Dug
within
that,
3
okay.
feet of the new greens,
Yeah.
so, you know, when it gets done, the Golf Association wants to buy the potato stakes and caution tape and go all around the new greens to keep people off it for 3 or 4
Until they
weeks.
can set.
Till we can, yeah, they
Yeah.
wanna set, but I'm gonna probably be mowing sooner than
Right.
anything, cause you gotta,
Right.
they're coming at a set size, so we're
Yeah.
gonna maintain
That
that, if that's
size,
what they
yeah.
want.
Yeah.
So we're, obviously too, the sprinklers got all set up, by
Right.
Rainbow, they
Right.
finished, they completed their job.
Right.
All the heads are set, so all I gotta do is hit go.
Yeah.
And then see if Joe wants more water
Okay.
per day. It's already set right now for 2 greens, they're set at like 4:30, noon and 8, and then we just went an hour past on everything, but it's an hour runtime. But on the nodes that we got with the whole
Okay.
program,
Okay.
there's like 16 settings on that, so I could set those things for any amount of time.
Gonna have
Half
to
hour,
have
20 minutes,
signs out
whatever.
there warning people that the sprinklers may come on at any time.
Yeah.
But that's really great. I just was getting confused in my head about what were people doing in the meantime, but you've
Yeah.
got it all set up, and I
Yeah.
should have realized that. Thank you. That's excellent.
So,
That is excellent.
other
I
than
did
that-
talk to the Pettinelli guy again today because it never did get shipped like 3 weeks ago when I ordered the borders. He claims he'll bring them tomorrow. So if they don't show up, will you let me know so I
Okay,
can call him
sure.
again?
Yeah, can do.
And what about the decals? Is he gonna bring those too?
Well, when I talked to him today, I said, did your rep ever come back and put them on? Oh yeah, they're on there. And I said, well, we were supposed to get a picture as proof. We didn't get it. Nope, they're there. I was there today with my grandkids. I could not find one decal anywhere on the equipment. So I
Yeah, I
have to
never-
call him back
I never
again.
received them. I mean, I know Nick had talked about it, but we never got the.
Yeah, and see, and the key thing is that Nick was talking to me about ordering them on Amazon, but we need to order them from the company, and they were supposed to put them on when they installed
When they
the
installed them,
equipment.
okay, yeah.
And they need to put them on because they know where to put them.
Yeah, yeah.
They know which decal
Yeah.
goes with which equipment. I mean, we should not be doing this.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, we don't have to order anything. This was
Yeah,
part of the package.
it was part of the
He
package.
even told me so.
So Janet did have the day off today, although she came in briefly, but she did have the day off. So she will follow up on this,
Okay.
later in the week, and
Okay, good.
and we'll track them down and make sure that they and I guess, or unless I drive to Burlington to pick these things up. So
And we got a couple dates on the calendar so far. One is for the Duck Derby, which
28
is the January,
January.
not January, right, with the ice fishing for ducks. June, July, no, June 28th.
June
It is
28th.
June 28th.
Yeah.
I think Lenny has a soccer club game the 8th of July. And I think far out, we have the Legion want to do their golf tournament like September 20th or 27th that weekend, which is only, it's a 3-club tourney, so it's a quick
Sounds
in
great.
and out thing, so.
That's great.
But I haven't seen it from anybody else, so
That sounds great.
guess that's about it there.
Dynamite. Jamie,
And
June.
I will be going to the park committee, rec park committee meeting on Wednesday evening
Good.
to give them all those updates right there.
Super.
And,
That is
uh,
super.
Sounds good.
And
And they
I think
want
I said at the
invoices,
last
right?
meeting, they have up what they're gonna do. They're gonna do a total of up to 15,000
That's good.
for the golf course stuff, so.
That is
It
good.
sounds like it'll be a real new start, a real
Yeah.
step up restoration of those greens, and maybe we can maintain them, you know, for a while. It's like an investment, it's an investment. It's like-
Okay, we are at the old business item of town hall,
So-
telephone and internet update. That's you, Matt.
Yep, we're progressing on this project. Believe the well house is complete. Firehouse East got their internet last week. Town Hall, it is installed. We're just pending Ron from E-Enable to come out and complete the provisioning of that. Firehouse West we're still pending a FOC date for that. And then Janet and I are working through the telephone lines for the DACs on the fire alarms, the digital alarm communication terminal. And with regards to the East Firehouse, the phone lines are not owned or paid for by the town of Arlington, so we can't bring them over. So I'll be working with Janet and Chief Hawley and everything. We'll figure that out. So,
Probably fire protection.
yes, and so there's a number of things. So we're working through that, but making progress. I checked this evening and the service is here and it's active, so it's ready for Ron when he fits us in his schedule to come out and get town hall done, which is important.
You know, of course.
And will Ron be, when Ron switches us to Fidium, he will put the phones will be on Fidium, the voice over internet protocol?
Your phones are staying on Granite because
Granite,
you're
yes.
they will
We're in a
use
3-year
Fidium
contract.
internet to
Okay, that's what I mean, that's what I mean, yes.
access the SIP server to communicate.
Okay, because we had that bottleneck with the Comcast.
That's the
and
problem today,
right.
'cause you have
So,
a very-
because as I was telling Matt, my phone goes out at some point during
Yeah.
every morning, and it's incredibly difficult for me and for anybody that's trying to
And that's
communicate
why
with me.
all the
And
cloud
Willie can
services-
testify to that, you know.
Yeah.
All the cloud services are slow and everything here. Because we don't pay we're on that old Adelphia cable connection
Right.
here that is no charge to the municipality.
Right, no, I totally get that.
We're
I
keeping
totally
that
get
as a backup, and
Right.
that'll be our secondary circuit. But
Right.
we're working on getting all of those. So once Ron
So
confirms
Ron
with us,
should be, when Ron puts us onto the Fidium internet, the phones will go onto that along with everything else. That will be our internet.
that will be your network
So that will be
access.
our, you know, and we can test the phones and
Yeah,
make sure
that's
they
what we
work.
call it, is your access layer, and so
Okay.
that'll be active.
Okay, excellent.
And then I'll follow up with Ron and we'll just confirm that like Well House and East is complete from an internet perspective, and then we can process the cancellations with Comcast. So that's where we're at with that. We're working through it. It's always a process. Telecommunications is
Oh,
fun.
sure.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and I think West, they needed some magical equipment that they had yet to locate. What I
And,
can only
and I'm
imagine.
still mystified how they would know they didn't have the right equipment when they never went there, but, you know,
No, remember, I asked him when he came to do town hall, I was like, what is the deal with this while I've got you here? And he said that Fidium ran out of their wiring. So it's not even
Yeah.
available there. So it's nothing to do with us personally.
Oh, okay,
There's not
okay.
wiring on Burwell Road to be able to do this yet, but it's coming soon. He said to check back in a couple weeks and it should be done.
okay, that makes much more
Just a
sense.
supply
Thank you,
chain
Janet.
issue and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah, we're
so-
just gonna blame supply chain for everything.
So we'll get through it. We're making progress, so it'll be good when we're done.
Good.
Yep. So that's where we're
Sounds
at.
like we're making good progress, so. All right, 7.4, health insurance. This is discussion of our next steps, and I understand there's something here that's informational. looks
Yeah,
like.
what it is that VLCT does not provide a consultant about the question of, you know, altering your health insurance coverage directly, but they have these partners, this Acrisure company that can provide a consultant. I believe I put in my email, it's something like, and Janet can correct me if she needs to, but it's something like you have to sign up for a year and it's $500 for the year and then $15 per employee per month, per covered employee. So we would have 5 covered employees, the water, the town administrator, the highway, no, that's 6, and
6.
Willie, that's 6.
Yeah.
So it'd be 6 times 15 times 12. So I can't remember what it comes out to, but it's something like
180 a
14.
month.
1080,
Yeah, so
1080 a
it's like-
year,
Yeah.
Yeah,
plus
so
the 500, so it would be 1580.
So, so it's not nothing. I personally think that one of the things that Dan was saying last time, where you were saying go from the platinum to the gold 1 year, and then the 100 to 90, and the, you know, just to go stepwise over a couple of years. I actually think that's pretty good. Now I know some of you guys are interested in the health savings accounts or the flexible savings accounts, but I think that personally, I think they're more trouble than they're worth, and you have to pay somebody to do them, and the bank and all that kind of stuff. So I personally don't think that we need a consultant, but I may be too ignorant of what the consultant might really have to offer, and it might behoove us to find that out before we say no.
So I reviewed in the AccuSure information, I think some of the important points that I saw from them as a consultant that's an onboarded per annum consultant is really some things that we don't necessarily do today for our employees that could really help, which is their first bullet point item of education and communication assistance for options and benefits that we offer, and probably everything that covers, so everyone understands it. You know, their advice assistance with overall benefit strategy, they'll do the modeling, and then they really assist the employees with pre-enrollment and post-enrollment activities, as well as working with the insurance providers for any particular problem. We all know you've had a problem, and like at my company, like I go to HR and they help me, right, with the insurer, but we don't really have someone here that's an expert at that or their primary job responsibility. So it may be worth, as we're, in my opinion, as we were looking to make a transition and model the most cost-effective plan going forward, to use them for a year and see what we get. You know, at $1,600 for the year, it really isn't a lot of money, and it would give our employees some additional assistance with their benefits.
I don't know if there's any additional charge for those kinds of meetings, or if that's like, all that's covered, everything.
It says it's
that-
all covered.
Okay, then that, you know.
Yeah.
Part of their services are.
Under their services, yeah. It's the annual administrative fee plus the small prescriber fee each month, which they're charging $15 per user per month.
Yeah.
I think we would need I would be in support of getting an agreement to review and potentially approve at our next meeting.
And we would need it to start right away, not with the calendar year, because we're
Right.
gonna be
Right.
looking at this in the
Yep.
fall.
Yep.
And Willie, could I just say, we've been talking about this for a couple of meetings, and it's just, you know, last year, the increases at the insurance company were like 20%, and, you know, almost all the increase in our budget was the health insurance, and we just can't have that. So we're just gonna think about, making the coverage a little less rich, asking you guys to kick in something. It's not the best news for you guys, and we know that, but we have to have better control over this cost. We can't go on like, and 100% of platinum is pretty generous. So we're hoping to be able to do it in a way that, and we also would have the option of balancing the increase in premium costs and taking that into consideration when we did compensation rises, you know, because we know that we're doing that. But to have that cost go up by 20% was just really hard.
Not
So,
sustainable.
yeah, so not at all. We're not gonna do big changes, as you say, just our first cut is to do something very gradual. So,
And it would be really interesting, in my opinion, to get this consultant in and start to ask the questions like, if we adjust, based on how they do the modeling, we may be able to offer additional services and be level set if we adjust things. So that's the other thing to think about is,
Yeah.
Could we move down to gold but then offer dental?
Right.
Right?
Vision.
Or vision and be level set. So there's all sorts of, like, you have to really think about this big picture, and could we improve or enhance our benefits package but make some adjustments along the way? And I don't think that we're not healthcare experts, and it takes, that is a whole expertise in and of itself. And in my opinion, this would be money very well spent for the town to get that expertise and figure out where is our sweet spot to maximize our spend and give our employees the best possible coverage.
And I know that it's not a huge amount of money, but in fact, we don't have a line for it. We do have the fact that for, 2 months, we haven't been paying health insurance premiums for the town administrator's position, which probably is $8,000 or something like that. So, I don't know if it,
That was more.
whatever it was, it was
we've got
what,
some
it's
savings.
like, and you haven't been paying it, so,
We've got some
Yeah.
so, if we could move that, if we have to create a new line, we could, and we can just shift some money over from that, and
Yep.
that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Is that still through Blue Cross?
Yeah.
Yes.
Vermont Blue. I believe.
So that's what
Yeah,
the
go
school
platinum
has.
and gold.
The school is at gold, and we're
Yeah.
in 80/20
Yeah.
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
That was a number of years ago, but
It's
we did
really
phase it
good.
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really good coverage, even at gold, so.
Yeah, and usually, and a lot of times what happens is your deductible goes up a little bit, and of course, if you need care, then you're gonna have to pay that deductible, but if 1 year you don't need the care, it doesn't.
Non-deductible, yeah.
You don't have to pay the extra deductible, and you're not
Yeah.
being affected. But I think that I think we just need to. We've prided ourselves on 100% for a long time, and we can't afford it anymore. So, but we will try to do it in a step down kind of way.
Okay.
So, would you like Janet to contact them and ask for
Yeah,
a
let's
contract
get-
or something?
Get
Yes.
something for the next meeting and
Yeah.
look at the specifics. I think it's worth it.
Like
exploring
about what
for
they
sure.
would do and everything.
Yeah, specifics in a contract to engage with them for the number of employees we have, and
And do they have someone available
Yeah, do
like
they
real soon?
Yep,
soon?
and can they call out the line
Yeah, we need to
items that
start
it's
this
X
in
number
mid-year
of
to
employees by
Be able to
15?
make
Right.
intelligent budget decisions.
Right.
My other question would be, do they bill the 15 a month by employees, do they bill that monthly or do they bill that per annum? And so that's the
We
other
need to-
question that I'd
yeah, we
like
just need to
answered,
know.
and we'd like I would think a 1-year contract that does not auto-renew.
I see they offer a 10% discount if you extend.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Well, because sometimes once the work's done, you're good
Of
for a
course,
few
easy,
years.
yeah.
That's why I say I'd like a 1-year contract without an auto renewal.
Yeah.
Right.
Just so that we don't miss a date and then get stuck.
Yeah, so. 1,080 for the $15 a month.
Yeah.
So just under 1,600 for that 1 year. And that's I think it's money well spent for a trial situation.
So we don't really need a motion at this time. We'll
No,
need
not
a motion
until we
when
get
we're
the
adopting
contract.
something,
Right.
so
When
we
we
don't.
adopt the
yeah.
contract, if we adopt the contract, then
Yeah.
we do that at the next meeting, I would presume. So,
Okay.
Okay. So that's taken care of. And 7.5 is the added agenda item to hire a new town administrator.
Yep, so super pleased to announce the select board met in executive session to interview a prospective candidate. And that interview went exceptionally well. They were the recommendation of the search committee. And so we extended an offer letter to Jennifer Devine to accept the position of town administrator for Arlington, and she accepted. We anticipate a start date probably that week after July 4th, so that would be the 7th of July.
I think our next select board is actually July 7th because of the holidays.
The holiday,
3 weeks.
yeah.
So we'll have a select board meeting that
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 day.
night, and if she comes on board that morning, she can just observe, you know, and
Yep.
just
Yep.
be getting oriented.
Absolutely, and extremely highly qualified candidate with a lot of really good leadership role, and currently in a town administrator and highway commissioner position up north of us here in Vermont. So,
And that's just so huge because it's not someone with basic skills and some experience, it's someone who's been doing
She's
this
doing
this.
job. You know,
yes.
so,
Yeah, I think
so,
she told us she's pulled in almost $2 million worth of grant work.
so she's
So she's
gotta,
very-
she's gotta learn
agree.
Arlington, but she knows how to do it.
Yes,
So, you
yes,
know.
and she has previous grant experience in other organizations and
Yep.
grant writing, so hopefully she will be very successful in bringing additional funding to Arlington as well. Do we need the details for the hiring motion or not?
I don't necessarily think so, just the fact that
We've extended the letter, she hasn't
Extended offer, she
started, so we
accepted
don't have like
should be
all of the
start date and
Yep. So I would make a motion that the board approves the hiring of Jennifer Devine as Arlington Town Administrator with a tentative start date on or around July 7th.
I
Second.
motion made by Matt and seconded by Cynthia to approve the hire of Jennifer Devine with a start date of on or about July 7th for the town administrator position. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? One absent. Okay.
Congratulations, Jennifer. We look
Congratulations,
forward to
Jennifer.
seeing you. I'm sure she'll watch the recording afterwards.
So, number 8 under the old business is the interim town administrator report with
Yeah.
any questions that any-
Yeah, I wanted to let the board know a couple of things. I did meet with Nick for an hour on Friday, and I did talk to him on the phone for half an hour earlier in the week. We made absolute best use of the time, just really invaluable in terms of making sure that I'm doing what I need to be doing, and I appreciate his time and skills a great deal. So I wanted to let you know, and I'm tracking the time completely. I know exactly what the time is, and he is too, so whenever they bill us, we'll have no problem confirming that. As I said before, the wastewater test pits were dug. We had a meeting today, and I'll be getting the board a memo on that. And I feel that now that we have a new town administrator coming, there are some things that I still need to move forward because they're time sensitive. But there are some things that I'm gonna not try to get my head into because she's gonna be here, and why should Nick have 2 training sessions, you know, so, but the 2 things that I wanna focus on, and I want board input on this if you feel something different. In the time that I'm continuing to do this, aside from the routine things, I'm gonna focus on, town hall repairs, like what repairs are needed, extra cleaning or repairs in the town hall. There's paint needed on the doors, there's problems with the vinyl siding. There's a hole in the floor of the town clerk's office, there's moss growing on the vault roof, there's a lot of stuff that just little dinky things. And there's things like the bulb in the furnace room is burnt out and it's way up there and the floor is way down there. Josh has been wonderful being the only able-bodied man in the building, doing ladder work and curtains and everything, but we can't expect him to do stuff. So I'm gonna try to make a list and explore the possibilities in terms of who can do what and how can we do it. And we also gonna have that window. One of the windows in the treasurer's office has
Yes.
been broken, and RK Miles called up and apparently said, do you want this window or not? Because it's been sitting up there
paid
for
for,
a
it's
year.
been sitting
Who was that
We didn't have anybody
man
to
that we
install.
hired?
I thought when somebody came, who installed these windows?
The last windows that I know were replaced were Clyde Baker did work.
But didn't we hire a handyman that did work on the yellow
We did.
barn
No,
and
we
stuff?
did.
He did the
Lincoln-
entry.
Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln.
Lincoln.
No,
That's,
he did. I think that was a mixed experience, so I'm not sure we want to do that. But we might want to do something similar. And I have heard of some people that might be interested. So first, I think I need to get a good list. And if any of you have thoughts, you can let me know. And
Gary Fisher might be one.
Yep,
He's
yep.
local
Yep.
guy.
So I think, because I think, like when the energy efficiency architect was here, she was like, "Who's your facilities manager?" And I was like, we don't have one, it's like
Right here.
So I think it's an old building, and I think the building, and there's roof slates too, which
I knew that.
we need to take, and some things will be taken care of when we have the energy work, but we don't know when that's going to be, because the garage is going to be first. We have to do some of this stuff. So I'm going to try to get together a package on that. And then the other thing I want to try to understand better is the water department finances. And I was asking Christian questions about them today, and she hasn't focused on them as much as she's focused on the town. So she's like, "Well, we're gonna learn more about this together,"
There you
because it's a bit complicated. So right now, there's a lot of money in there, but some of that's ARPA money that's already allocated. So we need to be careful about how we interpret that. And so I think that would be a good use of my time and her time. And she sent everybody packets with the May financials. And I was wondering, in the July 7th meeting, we will, presumably sometime in July, we'll be setting the tax rate. And I was wondering if it would make sense to try to spend some time on those financials with the, because remember, we have the question of making sure that the cash flow is what we think the cash flow should be. I mean, just to kind of get ready
Sure,
for that process.
sure. Yep.
So I thought of putting it on the agenda, if the rest of it
I
isn't
think
too
that's a good
overwhelming. Because we're always being reminded we should be looking at those things, and we should. And we will get the audit in July sometime, but I think it would be good for us to look at that stuff.
Yeah.
Even if a lot of that happens outside the meeting, but then just discuss it a little bit. So that's, oh, and there's one other thing. Roger Hansen, who has been doing all that incredible gardening work at the Yellow Barn Farm, he says that sometimes people stop at the faucet out by the road and fill water containers. Sometimes they actually come in and use the faucet that's in by the fence. And he questions that, because, they're taking free water. They're taking water from the water department. I am not sure if we can turn off the valve at the street, and only turn it on if somebody was doing stuff out there. But even if we turn that off, people might just go in and use the one in there. It might be possible to put locks on them. I don't know. I don't know if we even want to go there, or if we want to worry about that. And I don't think we have to decide this now. I just wanted to raise it with the board in terms of what your concern is. I mean, over at the park, someone could fill a gallon jug at the water bottle or in the restroom.
They're filling
We
the
don't have
water
any,
fountain. Yeah.
control over that. So I just don't know. I guess it might really,
If they were taking thousands and thousands of gallons, I'd be a little bit concerned. But if they're filling
a
a
spigot,
if
they
they're
can't be getting
filling-
that much.
they can't be
get
getting
that much.
How
They're
much
not
are they
going to
getting?
fill a
Well,
whole
that's the
truck.
thing.
they're
That's the
carrying
thing.
away a few gallon
Yeah.
bottles, maybe.
yeah.
Is
I mean,
that meter? Is that meter?
I don't even know if it is.
I don't think it is. I mean, I think that when I talked to Josh about it, we were going to try to figure that out. Because see, that property has had a special status because they had the Red Mountain Spring and all that stuff, which is still part of the water system. So I think they may have, and that water's out by the road was to cool the milk jugs in that trough.
Right.
So I think they may have been kind of given the water for free because of the spring. So now the town owns that property, so the town's getting the water. But if the town should be paying the water department, then we can figure out a way to do that. But there's no meter, so.
If it's not metered, it's not like we're losing anything.
Right.
Not compared to what
Okay.
we were losing before we purchased the system. We've fixed
The leak.
tens and tens
Yeah.
of thousands of gallons of leaks.
Right.
And You know,
Hoping to
like
keep
I
that
said,
system
if
fresh.
it was somebody pulling up with a water tanker truck
Right,
and
right.
filling
Don't
it,
give anybody ideas.
No.
Don't give. But they could, it would take so long, they couldn't do that. Okay, so I will, tell Mr. Hanson, but I really appreciate him paying attention, but,
Yeah.
I think if he wants to keep track of how often he sees that, but I don't want him to get involved in a confrontation with anybody.
Of course.
Something like that.
Of course.
Okay. All right, so that's all I have. So on our next meeting, just to look ahead, right now I have the hazard mitigation plan because BCRC has gotten a new draft of that. And so we have to, whatever we have to do with that, approve it, whatever. And then wastewater memo and then finances. That's what I have on the next meeting.
Okay,
Brian would ask that the camper discussion be on that next meeting.
so we'll add that to it.
The camper. I thought we made a decision about that.
Did we come to a complete decision?
All right, well,
We can make it
we'll circle
official.
back.
Yeah.
We'll
make
circle
it
back.
official.
Yeah, okay, all right.
I
Okay,
believe we
so
did
that's good.
think it was okay, but
But no, we can,
That's a good point. I don't think we made it official.
We didn't
We
make
may
it
have
about
been,
it, so.
we may have
we
been
discussed it and then.
Yeah.
too informal, and I know where all the keys or whatever associated with it are, and so we need to hand that over if we're gonna do that, so I think that's good to have that on the agenda and close that up, because we may have kind of cruised along too fast.
Okay,
So that's all I got, unless you guys have do you guys
Any
have any other
questions?
comments about what I should be doing
for the interim,
to get?
No, I've just got a couple things for other business when we get there.
okay.
We're pretty much
Do we
there.
need an executive session?
We do,
Oh,
we
God,
absolutely
yes, we have a
do.
lot of
We do.
stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's do the orders first. Just a couple of things to call to your attention. In the general order, we are paying the guy that fixed the Doosan excavator, and it was a little bit less money than I expected, so that's a good thing. And the other thing is there's yearly VLTC dues and quarter or semi-annual Bennington County taxes, which are significant sums in that program. So,
yeah, and in the town of Arlington, there is a line overrun, because remember how we had that big chunk for the other machine, and that put the highway equipment maintenance over, and now we're paying for the deuce on the other machine's repair, and we're still over. So when we get to the town stuff, we just have to authorize that,
Okay.
that overrun. Okay, so, where am I? Water department.
check warrant report WD-12.
Okay, and the biggest components of this are the truck repair for $1,100, and supplies, Green Mountain Power, paying the backup operator. I make a motion to approve check warrant report number WD number 12 dated 6/13/25 for a total of $5,513.53.
I'll second.
Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Matt to approve check warrant report WD-12, total amount of $5,513.53. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, I further, let's see, what do we have here? So for the town of Arlington's warrant, the key components are the health insurance for the third quarter, which is $12,673. That is a big chunk. Bennington County taxes, $16,228, big chunk. And then the other big chunk, a lot of them are just ordinary. There's a chloride for $5,500, and also, and that's for the water department. No,
No,
that's for the highway.
Roads,
That's for the
highways.
highway. It's along with the grading and the summer treatments. And then there is a highway bill for Hawley's, which is for the paving on Rombrook Road, $6,000, because James Hawley helped with repaving the culvert areas, which was really, really good. And then we do have the Doosan repairs for $2,800. So those are just some of the highlights, and so I'm gonna make a motion that includes authorizing the line overrun. So I make a motion to approve check warrant report number 12, being the unpaid invoices for the general fund of the town of Arlington dated 6/13/25. Motion to approve the total amount $72,007.69, and motion to approve line overrun of line 12/7/60/432/01.
Second.
Motion made by Cynthia and seconded by Jamie to approve check warrant report number 12. The total amount of $72,007.69, along with the line overrun for the highway repairs line. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So the next part of this, I believe we need to establish.
No, we gotta do,
Other
Jamie's
business.
got
Oh,
other business.
Other
Go
business
ahead,
next.
Jamie.
So I
You're
did
up.
speak with S&S Fencing about the East Arlington Bridge, and they are willing to do that. I'm gonna meet with him next week to get a price, and so he can look at it and measure everything. And what do we do with Consolidated Communications with the pole in the river down here by the wall?
I
It is
saw some
actually
of them.
getting drawn out into the
I
river
saw some of
further.
them in the, you know how they park here sometimes, and I accosted them and said, you guys have a pole in the river, and they're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, well, the lines are getting lower and the pole is going, one big tree, and that's gonna wipe out everything down through there.
Well, then we'll
don't
fix it.
I don't know what they're
It's
doing.
ridiculous.
I don't know why they haven't done something. I mean, I can accost them again, or if maybe we should have Janet call them. I'm sure Janet needs something else to do.
Well,
Thanks, Janet.
you
But
can,
is it consolidated or is it GMP?
No, it's consolidated.
It's
Consolidated.
Green Mountain
consolidated.
Power did all their stuff. The cable company came down through, moved all their stuff.
Okay.
well, in order to
Consolidated
replace that,
hasn't
they have to
touched
file for they have to
Well, there's a new pole
file.
standing right beside it.
They just have to detach it
They
from the
just
old
need to
pole.
take
and it-
the old pole
Put it on the new
and
one.
hook it to the new
And-
one.
and like all their
Is
video stuff.
Consolidated the only one that's left on it, or
Yeah.
is?
But is
Yeah.
it
Yeah, 'cause
consolidated
it's cut
or-
off right above their line.
Yeah, so, but you're gonna have to get CCI and then their sub for Fidium to move the attachments.
This is for the fiber optic, that's still.
Well, it's everything.
Well,
that
there's
runs down through
copper and fiber, but copper they don't care about anymore because there's no
few.
They're
requirement.
not relying on it.
Well, there's no federal requirement to maintain copper services,
Right.
period. So when it breaks, they will fix it, is typically how that works. I don't even know, because if you call, you're gonna have to give them your account number and everything, which isn't associated with that pole.
Yeah, but I would give them the poll number and say, WTF, fix this thing. And if it's,
Good
I
luck.
don't know if it's a hazard to river traffic. I don't know. I
It's
can't
getting
see.
further out into the river. I mean,
Well, the
every time you
river's
get high
moves,
water.
and the
coming out
river's
for
been
it.
playing with her toys during all this high water, and I don't know if tubers are going to be hitting it, or I don't know. I can't see, but I don't think it's good
luck.
practice. Yeah. So no, I mean
I don't think they use
we're on record
all that
pointing it
much,
out.
tubers especially, but
Yeah.
usually it's so shallow.
I mean, the other thing is to reach out to the Public Service Commission and ask them to push it.
That would be the
The other avenue.
turn the heat up a little bit, maybe.
I don't know. I'll think about it.
Okay.
I'll think about it. But yeah, it's kind of annoying.
That was all I had.
Call and wait on hold for 3 hours.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love doing that.
Thank you for bringing it up.
All right. Any other?
The next item is, I guess there's no other business anybody has, but if there is, speak up now. If not, we'll go into executive session and establish the reason for the executive session as personnel, legal, and property matters.
I'll make a motion that a premature discussion of personnel legal and property matters would cause the municipality to suffer substantial disadvantage.
Second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Jamie to establish the reason for the executive session as personnel, legal, and property matter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And now a motion to enter into executive session and allow the park administrator, Willie.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session for said personnel, legal, and property matters, and to invite Park Administrator Willie Knight to remain in the room.
Second.
Motion made by Matt and seconded by Cynthia to enter into said executive session for personnel, legal, and property matter and have Willie Knight, the park administrator, remain in the room. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I don't
Any
think,
opposed?
Okay, so Janet, I will keep track of all the times, and if we have any actual activity when we come out, I will note it down. I don't know that we will.
we will, but
I don't
Perfect,
believe
thank you so much.
I don't believe we're taking
Good night.
any action, so.
Matt,